can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Big up to the guys of technology. They've decided to hack us on the previous link.
Yeah.
But we've just gone ahead. And thank you to Isaac, our chairman of the board of Hoja Youth Network, who has been very quick in finding a solution. So I want to know, wait, I'm just scrolling to know, okay, I can see we already have Isaac Bugeri with us, Charlene, Rose. Oh, Rose, nice to see you. Rose is from our team in Tanzania, but living in Zimbabwe. I can see Prince Rinhad is also with us. Thank you, Prince, for joining us. Daniel Mpanda, David Ndungu. Thank you. Vanessa, welcome back again. Waikai Ngugi. I have a problem with Kenyan names. You have to forgive me, but I already know it's a Kenyan name. Desiree, thank you for coming. That should be francophone. Christopher Namilonga, Omar, Daniel Bishagari, our Hoja 2019 chairman. One of the heads in Zimbabwe. Thank you for joining us. Daniel Mpanda, Priska Clarice. Thank you from Nairobi. Rabiet Pascal, thank you for joining us. Humphrey, our chairman in Tanzania, thank you for joining us. Again, I can see Jedon Baleke. Okay, Honorable Patrick Muyaya is joining us in a few seconds. I've just sent him the link as well. So I hope all of you are doing well. Well, let's get back strictly to the conversation. And since I've got already people who have talked about problems and the things that we're going through, before we get to solutions, because that's what we need now, practical solutions. We need to know what is that we will have to ensure it's happening after COVID-19 or even during. We don't know how long this is gonna take. But before we get solutions, I'd love to get an overview on the topic of today: impact of COVID-19 on youth unemployment and economic growth in Africa. From Prince Rinhad. After Prince, I'll be glad to get something from Daniel Bishagari, who is our great brother from DRC, but leading all the way from Zimbabwe. Then after Daniel Bishagari, I'll be taking an overview from our chairman, Isaac Bugeri, who has not been listed on the list of guest speakers, but is naturally a guest speaker for him being a chairman of Hoja. So, Renhard, you're hearing me.
I can hear you.
Yes, you have the floor, brother. Can you just give us an overview of what you think are the impacts, in plural, of COVID-19 on youth and unemployment and economic growth in Africa? As per now.
Thank you very much. Also, well, my name is Prince Reina Datela. I come from Kenya. I'm a businessman in Kenya. I'm a politician. I'm an aspiring member of parliament for one of the constituencies around here. I'm an author of a couple of books. I've written around 5 books. I'm a speaker. I speak in different conferences, and I'm also a mentor. And all in all, I love Africa, and Africa is my business. So whenever I hear where there's a conversation that is Africa, I don't want to think twice. I want to be there because this is our business, guys. So going straight to the question that the moderators asked me, first and foremost, we always have to understand that whenever things happen, they usually have 2 faces. So for me, COVID-19 has the face, which is the positive face. For people like us, I could actually say that COVID-19 has given me a shift in the way I looked at things, especially in the African context. Number 2, there are people who have been affected negatively, especially with the issue of employment. There are guys who are employed who have lost their jobs. And guys, let me give this disclaimer: nothing is going to go back to normal. You know, I've had this conversation that I can't wait for things to go back to normal. And I always tell people, you know, such disruptions always has casualties. So we are going to have, you're either going to be a casualty based on the fact that you lost your job, lost your business, and, you know, the globe is strategizing itself so that everything can go digital. So I would like to first and foremost bring it from the point of the positive note. Now, number 1, This is an opportunity for us as African people to now begin the conversation of creating our own infrastructure. Let me give an example of what just happened for us in the previous link. Africa has not created an infrastructure that is able to host their own apps, that is able to host our own technological advancements. We have to actually rely on everything from the West. So this is an opportunity. COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to start a conversation that, Africa needs an infrastructure. We need a place where we have Africa for Africans. That is the first thing that I would say is a positive attribute of coronavirus and its effect on unemployment, because there are people who are going to start their business. Let me give you an example. Before this, I was doing mentorship programs, physical. I had like 88 people I had to visit their businesses physically. But then COVID-19 brought in a new thing. It brought a conversation where now I can have my mentorship programs online and people still go ahead and pay because knowledge can be transferred either digitally or otherwise. So opportunities are hidden, in every problem. So coronavirus, as many would wish to view it as a negative thing, I have been able to realize that, number one, we need our own infrastructures. And how do we begin developing it? That is why I believe Hoja exists. Men and women here listening to me who are Africans, who are tech savvy, this is an opportunity to start saying, can we now start developing technological infrastructure for the building of African people, for the African people? Number two, we have now to shift our focus from the, industrialization way of thinking. We used to look at life in terms of industrial revolution. We are out of that space, guys, and we are now physically at a point where it's either technology or nothing else. I usually tell people, you either fight for this space that has been created by coronavirus or you're spaced out. So this is an opportunity, Eddie, and everybody else, for us to begin not only a conversation towards creating our own infrastructure, but also we have to begin working, because the sooner the better. In the next 10 years, we are talking about Vision 2030, which has been a term that has been used in several countries, but this is not going to be possible. I usually say this: there is no way the globalist agenda can happen because you believe it or not, COVID-19 has really brought us to the point of talking the globalist agenda, globalization and all that. There is no way that will happen unless we as Africans, first of all, understand that we have our own currency that unites us together. We speak a language that we all understand, the African language. Number three, we have our own infrastructure so that when the globalist agenda steps in, we are not in the table of negotiation as subordinates. That is one thing we have to all appreciate and understand. We are not going to go into the table of negotiation 10 years. The next decade is not going to find Africa still talking of aid, still talking of, we have to expatriate our talented young people to go abroad to go and work there because working conditions are good. This is the time we, as all this team who are gathered here, have to go back to our own spaces, be it social or physical, where we have to begin the conversation, creating employment that are sustainable. This is the time to talk. I had one of the speakers talking about e-commerce. This is the time for us to have our own Amazon over here and support it, because it's not just about coming up with things. We have Senegal working so hard to ensure that they combat COVID-19, and whatever they are doing can create a big amount of employment if we all come together and say, why don't you implement the same in Kenya? Why don't you implement the same in Uganda, in Rwanda, and in all the parts of Africa? Let me tell you, we like it or not, COVID-19 has changed the way conversations are done. One, those who are used to office and sitting down in an office to start business, that has to change. You now go digital. And if you think that they're still going to be normal, then I have bad news for you. There is new normal.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to Honorable Patrick Muyaya. I can see he's back with us. The one who was speaking was Prince Reinhard Datela, who is an author and a young leader from Kenya. I can already tell you that right now we have 7 different countries that have joined us: Zimbabwe, DRC, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, and South Sudan. If you are from another country, just text me so I can give a shout out to your country. Honorable Patrick, as one of our guest speakers today, I will automatically go to you with a very interesting question. The big question, Honorable Patrick, is, as a person, of course you are a legislator. You know, you are an MP, a member of parliament, who is making laws in parliament. But you know, you are pushing the government to ensure that they are doing the right things for your people in the DRC. My question is, as a leader who is in power, actually, to be very specific, how do you promise people, or how do you ensure that people can survive this food insecurity during this moment? I will go back to other questions because you have so many questions for you, Honorable Patrick, because I already been getting messages from people to ask you. But we'll be very specific because we only have another few minutes left before the end of our conference today. But let's start with the food insecurity, Honorable.
Okay.
De la famine. What is that? How can we handle that during this time?
Okay, I think the question is crucial, but the answer is simple. The first thing I think every country should do at the top of everything is to set up a task force. We're gonna check what are the needs of the population. Okay, this task force can make a kind of studies of the whole economy, the way COVID-19 is impacting the economy, and see what are the key sector of the economy where we must make sure we have everything we need. It means that daily people buy food, daily people buy medicine. So the government must make sure in this period, the first thing people need is to have food as they used to have in the same price in the past. So the question is simple. You set up the task force and you make a kind of evaluation, I don't know if my word is good in English, of all the needs of the population. And you see, because even if the border are closed, but the border aren't closed for boats or ship will bring food from like Western country to Africa. The airports are open for some cargo plane. We bring food to bring food in Africa. So the government must make sure that the difference, especially here for us in Congo, our economy, we use dollar. Exactly when we use our current money, franc congolais, we use both money at the same time. So the government must make sure people, as they are like le pouvoir d'achat, the government must make sure that the balance remain the same between dollar and franc congolais, and then the government must provide. I think that's what they did here in DRC, provide food and sell it in a good price. Here in DRC, the government set up like a new market where the government makes sure they import everything that people use every day, and then they put it in good price. That's one of the short-term strategy. But the long-term strategy, if you want to ensure food security, we need to cut this dependence of the importation. We should start producing, like other African countries, what we need to consume every day. Why should we continue to import pork, to import beef, while we can make sure in Congo we can produce that? That's the main question. So the first solution in short term is to make sure that all those importers will bring food to us continue to bringing it. The government must make sure people has the power to buy it, and then in long term, the government should make sure that we can be able to produce what we need, especially if it's for our basic needs like breakfast, like lunch. We should make sure that our country are able to do that without depending on other countries. I think can be my answer.
Thank you very much, Honorable. That's a good answer. I like the answer when it comes coming back to what we think as Africans. And going back to what Mr. Prince Atela has said, Honorable, and everyone in the session today, Africa for Africa. Honorable, before I go back to other young leaders as you and our fellow young people who are in this caucus today, Honorable, another question for you before we get back to others should be, when talking about Africa for Africa, Honorable, we have a big issue. And you know, there's something that has been trending about the vaccine. Testing the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine on African people. I want to know your comment on that, and Mr. David. But Honorable, what is your take? I know we had a very good conversation on Twitter with the Association of diaspora students in Kenya on that last time, and you had very interesting points. But I just want you to tell us now that is a different platform. What is your take, Honorable, on the vaccine testing and what's next for COVID-19 in terms? And when you're answering that, can you mention the issue of Madagascar? Madagascar, the president has shown us that there is a cure, or let's say a vaccine or a treatment, in short term, a treatment for COVID-19 in Madagascar. Honorable, what is your take on that? Because the WHO, Organisation Mondiale de la Santé, has said this is not okay, and the United Nations. But it's proving us in Madagascar otherwise, that there's zero death, no one has been dying and everything. So what is your take on that? And then I'll go back to the subject. Sorry to everyone, because I know it's out of the employment things, but I wanted the Honorable as a leader to tell us something about that, because it will be very important. Honorable, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for your question. I think the answer for the vaccine is simple. You know, my friend, when we've been talking a couple minutes ago, they asked us, okay? Those who asked us are specialists on those matters. It means that today, in the leading of the fight against COVID in every country, you see, first, you have scientific, you have doctors, you have epidemiologists, you have specialists. And a vaccine is a result of some research. So the entire world is threatened by COVID-19. All scientific in every country are in a kind of competition, because they need to see the way they can solve it, because the COVID-19 is damaging countries, is damaging economy. So one of the best way to make sure the world is safer of COVID is to find a vaccine. And bringing a vaccine is a process. It takes almost 2 years to bring a vaccine, and people all can agree that's good, we can use it on people. But vaccine require a process. You see, let me tell you one thing, my friend. If we find a vaccine today, Africa won't be the first people who will get it. Western countries will make sure they give vaccine first to American, French people and others, because the vaccine will be made by them for them people first. So we as African, I saw those kind of reaction on Twitter, but as leader, we must put science in its place, actually, because scientific are those people we need to guide us in this fight. You see, and if they want to bring a treatment or a vaccine.
Honorable, excuse members, time is going to run out, but rejoin again after 1 minute.
So I will continue. Adi, I'm sorry. I would like to make sure what I'm saying now, people understand it very well, because sometimes people can get confusion.
Okay.
Amener un vaccin bring a vaccine, it's a normal.
Honorable, there's no problem. You can say it in French so that we have the real meaning, and then I'll be glad to translate it and then get back to English for you. Honorable.
Ok, ok. Alors, je voulais dire, hein, le vaccin, c'est un processus normal. Les scientifiques font une course, ils font une compétition pour savoir qui sera le premier à trouver le vaccin. Et les vaccins, avant qu'ils ne soient homologués par l'OMS, le vaccin subit de processus parce que c'est un vaccin qui doit être administré à des humains partout dans le monde. Les humains ne répondent pas de la même manière. Tel que nous sommes en train de voir, le Covid a tué 60 000 Américains, il a tué 25 000 Français ou combien, mais le Covid ne tue presque pas en Afrique. En tout cas, la catastrophe annoncée en Afrique, ça ne se produit pas. Ça signifie que les conditions climatiques, alimentaires de l'Africain est différente des conditions des Américains, des Chinois, des Européens et tout le reste. Donc, un vaccin contre le Covid a besoin d'être expérimenté aussi, non pas sur tous les continents, mais sur une partie d'entre nous, des personnes qui peuvent correspondre aux critères. Parce que c'est un processus scientifique. Parce que si ces processus aboutissaient, le vaccin ne sera pas d'abord donné aux Africains. Je voulais faire cette précision pour qu'on se comprenne bien. Mais maintenant,
yes. Avec votre je peux faire le résumé de ça.
Oui, vas-y.
I just want to say that Honorable Patrick Gaya was trying to emphasize on the fact that the vaccine is tested on people, tested on different people based on who they are, and human beings don't react the same when it comes to vaccine, right? What happens is that we all should understand that already we have over 60,000 deaths in America, over 1,000 deaths in France and so on, Italy and all those kind of countries that are losing people. But then the reaction is not the same. So while Africa is not getting any, Africans are dying, yes, in Africa, but not as much as compared to the West, right? So the Honorable was trying to say that we should understand that it is a very difficult matter when it comes to where we should test the vaccine, and importantly, we have to know that our situation as human being, our immune is very different. That's the first thing that he wanted us to understand, and it was very close for him to let us know in French. Thank you, Honorable. Now we can go back to you, Honorable.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And then that's why I said that in French, because I know I don't want people be confused. The second thing, I totally disagree with those French professors. We spoke about trying to use BCG vaccine on Africa because we are what we are. It's very insulting. It's very condescending. It's not good. I have to condemn that. But we have to know that science requires equity, and people should understand that. So don't say that the vaccine is bad. Don't say the vaccine will kill us, because we have all malaria, we have all wars, we have all those things that kill us. We are not obligated to see the things in a bad way. We need to understand vaccine or treatment are the result of some research. So let me talk about what happened in Madagascar. You see, my friend,
thank you very much. That's why I wanted
each country is trying to deal with the COVID-19 with what we have, as there is no actually a scientific result treatment or a protocol treatment which each country will follow. We are fighting against COVID with all we have as traditional medicine, as we use everything we have on hand to fight against COVID-19, and it's quite working in Africa. So, Malagasy president, Mr. Joel, thinks that he find a solution, and apparently it's working in his country. It's like, let me compare it to hydroxychloroquine. Everybody is speaking about that, but OMS and some specialists say the hydroxychloroquine is not the right treatment on COVID-19. But as it's helping, as it can bring results, why not? Why will we refuse to use that if it can help us to save some lives? So the president, the Madagascar president, is doing the same. So I can understand that OMS, WHO, or United Nations say no because it didn't follow the protocol or the process. But what we need now is a solution. If this treatment can bring people, make people safe against COVID, why not? Why should we wait for OMS or for United Nations to find a good treatment for us? No, I'm a politician, I'm a leader today. The first thing I want to find is the solution against COVID-19. If this solution will come from medicine, from traditional medicine, from Madagascar, from the United States, I don't care. What I want is the solution. And apparently the solution is working in Madagascar. The scientific can make their debates later, but for a politician, yes, the solution, it seems it's working, so why not?
Thank you very much, Honorable. You've touched it the way we wanted. I think it's really interesting that finally we have a leader who is conscious about the things that we're doing. Thank you, Honorable. I have a few more questions for you. But before we get back to you, I'll have to announce that Mr. Butcher is back with us. Mr. Butcher, who happens to be a former presidential candidate for Zimbabwe, and is also the chairman of